You think you know what it takes to be great. You don't. It's not about talent. It's not about being born with a gift. People like to say that greatness is something you're born with, but that's a lie. I'll tell you what it really takes. It takes sacrifice. It takes loneliness. It takes getting knocked down over and over again and still standing up. That's the price. You think you know what it feels like to lose. Let me show you what it feels like when everything you've worked for, everything you fought for slips through your fingers. There's a moment when you're facing that kind of defeat, and it's not just a loss, it's what you become in the aftermath. It's a long road to understanding what greatness truly is. It all started for me in the quietest of places, a court, empty and silent, the faint sound of a ball bouncing in the dead of night. This was long before the fame, before the crowds, before they knew my name. This was the moment when the real work began. I wasn't the tallest, I wasn't the fastest, I wasn't the most gifted, but there was one thing I had, hunger, a hunger that was born from failure, a hunger that burned deep within me from the moment they told me I wasn't good enough. That first rejection, the feeling of walking into that gym and hearing the coach say, "You're cut," that was my beginning. You know what they don't tell you about rejection? It hurts, but it also reveals who you are. I could have walked away, I could have let that moment break me, but instead I let it fuel me. I went home and I cried. Yeah, but then I hit the court. Every day after that, I worked harder. I worked when nobody was watching. I worked through the silence, through the pain, through the exhaustion. They'll tell you that greatness comes from training hard, from dedication. And it does, but what they won't tell you is that greatness also comes from embracing the darkness. The moments when no one is around, the moments when the gym is empty and your body is aching, that's when you really find out what you're made of. I remember those early days. The gym was my sanctuary, but it was also my battlefield. I didn't need anyone to believe in me. I just needed to believe in myself. And that belief didn't come from watching others succeed. It came from seeing the vision, seeing the version of me that was meant to be. That was my first taste of greatness, not in the game, not in the wins, but in the work that no one saw. Greatness doesn't care who you are or where you come from. It doesn't care about your background, your struggles, or your mistakes. It cares about one thing: how much are you willing to give? How much are you willing to sacrifice when no one is watching? How much pain can you endure and still keep going? You think you know what it takes to be great, but greatness isn't measured by victories, it's measured by the fight. The relentless push to be better, to do more, even when the world seems to be falling apart around you. I've been there. I've felt the pressure, the weight of everyone's expectations. I've felt the sting of losing in front of millions of people. I've felt the pain of seeing my dreams slip away. But each time I stood back up, every time I said to myself, not yet, not today. The first time you step on the court, it feels like everything is happening in slow motion. The lights, the noise, the crowd, it's all a blur. But then you feel it, that rush, that moment when you take the shot. It doesn't matter if you make it or miss it. What matters is how you respond. You either fall down and quit, or you get back up and shoot again. That's the difference between the good and the great. The good may have the talent, but the great have the heart, the great have the will to get back up over and over again. And the beauty of it is, the more you get knocked down, the more you learn about yourself. The more you push through the pain, the stronger you become. So here's the truth about greatness. It's not about the shiny trophies. It's not about the awards. It's not about the fame. It's about what you're willing to give up to get there. It's about fighting in the quiet moments when no one else is watching. It's about doing the work that others won't. It's about having the discipline to get up every single day, no matter how hard it gets. You'll lose, you'll feel pain, you'll doubt yourself. But in those moments, you have to remind yourself, this is the price of greatness. And if you're not willing to pay that price, then you're not ready. Greatness comes when you embrace the struggle. When you accept that there is no easy way to the top, there is no shortcut. The only way to get there is to earn it, step by step, day by day. When you step on that court, you're not just playing against your opponent. You're playing against yourself. You're pushing your own limits. You're fighting to be better than you were yesterday. And that's what greatness is. It's the pursuit of that better version of yourself. So here's what I want you to understand. Greatness is a choice. It's a choice to never give up, to never accept failure, to keep moving forward, even when everything inside you tells you to quit. The fire that burns inside you, that's where greatness starts. And it's up to you to keep it burning day in and day out, You know, what they don't tell you about pain, they tell you to avoid it, to run from it, to keep your head down and hope it doesn't come for you. But let me tell you something, you don't get to greatness without bleeding. You don't get to the top without feeling the sting of the grind, the weight of exhaustion, the deep aching soreness that tells you you've pushed too far, you've worked too hard. I didn't just get there on skill, I didn't get there because I was born with some kind of special gift. No, I got there because I chose to face pain head on every single day. It started in those early mornings, the gym lights flickering on, cold air cutting through the silence. You step onto that court and it's just you, the ball, the hoop, the echo of your own breathing. There's no crowd. There's no one to cheer you on. There's just the sound of your footsteps on that court, your heartbeat pounding in your chest, and you're alone. In those moments, there's no one to blame, no one to share the victory with. Just you and the work. The work was brutal. I would push myself past the point where I couldn't feel my legs anymore. Every dribble, every shot, every sprint, it felt like I was carrying the weight of the world. My body was telling me to stop, to rest. But I wasn't here for rest. I wasn't here to take it easy. I was here to become, and you can't become if you're comfortable. There were nights I'd leave the gym, my muscles sore, my hands trembling, but it wasn't just physical exhaustion. It was mental, that dark place where you question everything. Was it worth it? Every hour spent alone in the gym, every moment where my body was crying out for relief, every time I doubted myself, was it worth it? And that's the thing, they don't tell you about this part. The doubt, the fear that maybe you'll never make it, maybe all this effort is for nothing, maybe you're just not enough. But here's where the shift happens. It's in that moment when you feel like you're about to break. That's when you have to make a choice. You can either give in to the pain, to the fear, to the voices telling you to stop, or you can push through it. You can dig deeper, find something inside you that you didn't know was there. That's the moment that defines you. I remember the first time I truly faced loss. It wasn't in a game, it wasn't on the court, it was in my heart. Losing someone you care about, watching a dream slip through your fingers when you thought you had it in your grasp, there's no feeling like it, and it cuts deep. I lost my father when I was just a young man. And let me tell you something, no training, no drills, no amount of shots could have prepared me for the kind of pain that comes from losing someone you love. And in that moment, I questioned everything. I questioned my purpose, my path, my reason for pushing through the pain. But here's what you learn about pain. It doesn't stop. It doesn't go away. It just changes you. And it can either break you or it can build you. The pain, the loss, the heartache, they're all part of the process. You don't get to skip them. You don't get to bypass them and go straight to the top. You have to go through them. I remember those dark nights after losses, after defeats, after failure, the weight of it all. But I also remember something else, the fire that never went out, the drive to come back, to prove that no loss, no failure could ever define me, to fight even harder the next time, even if I was afraid, even if I felt like I couldn't go on. And that's where the real work begins. You think that success is the goal, but here's the truth, success is a result. It's a byproduct of the work, the sweat, the grind, the hours when no one is watching. You don't get to greatness by hoping for it to come to you. You don't just show up and expect greatness to knock on your door. It doesn't work like that. You have to fight for it. You have to be willing to suffer, to hurt, to endure, to sacrifice your comfort for your dream. That's what makes the difference. That's the price of greatness. I've had my share of losses. I've been knocked down, beaten down, pushed to the brink of quitting. But every time I felt like I couldn't go any further, there was this little voice in me deep down telling me not yet. And that's what kept me going. Because greatness doesn't come in a single moment. It's built piece by piece, decision by decision. It's built in the grind, in the failures, in the blood and the sweat that no one sees. It's built in the moments when everyone else is giving up, but you refuse to. If you want to be great, you have to be willing to bleed for it. You have to be willing to put in the work when no one is watching. You have to be willing to take the hits, to feel the pain and keep moving forward, because that's the true test. That's the measure of a champion. So what do you choose? Do you choose to fight through the pain, to push past the fear, to give everything you have for something bigger than yourself? Or do you give up when it gets too hard? That's the choice you face. And that's the decision that will either make you or break you. Greatness isn't given, it's earned. And it's earned in the moments that hurt the most. You think you know what it feels like to be great, but you don't. You think the fame, the money, the cheers, that's what makes you a champion. But let me tell you something, those things don't fill you. They don't give you peace. They don't make you whole. In fact, they can do the opposite. They can tear you apart. I've been there. I stood in front of the world with millions of eyes on me, and I felt the emptiness. The more you rise, the harder it becomes to stay grounded. The louder the noise gets, people screaming your name, cameras flashing, reporters asking you questions that don't even matter. But here's the truth, all that noise, it starts to drown out everything else. It drowns out the work, the sacrifices, the love, and it starts to drown out you. You win, and the world celebrates. But when the lights go off, when the cameras stop rolling, and when the applause fades, what's left? Silence. It's the silence that kills you. It's the loneliness that eats at you. When everyone expects you to keep winning, to keep performing, they expect you to be perfect, to be a machine, to never stop. But you're not a machine. You're human. And being human means feeling the weight of it all. I remember the first time I felt this weight. I just won a championship and everyone was celebrating. But I felt something inside me, a hollowness. I was surrounded by people, but I was completely alone. I realized that the higher you go, the more you're forced to leave behind. The more people you lose, the fewer friends you have, the more isolated you become. When you're on top, you expect to have everything. The fame, the money, the adoration. But what they don't tell you is that the higher you rise, the more you lose touch with the world that got you there. The more you disconnect, the more you sacrifice. And here's where the truth hits you, greatness is lonely. You look around, and the people who used to be there for you, your friends, your family, they're either gone or don't understand you anymore. Because they can't. How could they? They don't know what it's like to live in the spotlight. They don't know the pressure of being watched every second of your life. They don't know the feeling of carrying the weight of everyone's expectations on your shoulders. And what makes it worse is that you can't show weakness. You can't show doubt. You can't show humanity, because in the eyes of the world, you're invincible, you're perfect, but nobody's perfect. There were nights I'd lie awake in bed, staring at the ceiling, trying to understand what I was chasing, what the hell I was doing. I had the rings, I had the MVPs, I had the money, the fame, the respect, but I felt like something was missing. It's easy to get lost in the applause. It's easy to get swept up in the noise. But what happens when the noise stops? What happens when you've won it all and there's nothing left to prove? I remember when I first retired, the first time, I thought it would be peaceful. I thought it would be a chance to finally find some quiet, but that quiet, it wasn't peaceful, it was empty. It was the loudest silence I've ever felt in my life. I had nothing. I thought I could walk away, leave the court, leave the game behind, but I learned something that night, something that still stays with me today. Retirement doesn't mean freedom. It doesn't mean peace. It means loss. The loss of your identity, the loss of what you thought was important. And when you lose that, you start to realize what it was really all about. It wasn't the rings, it wasn't the MVPs, it wasn't the applause. It was the game, it was the competition, it was the fight. And when you take that away, when you step off the court for good, you realize how much of you was wrapped up in it. I came back, I couldn't stay away because I couldn't live with the silence. I couldn't live without the fight, without the struggle. But this is the catch. Once you're great, there's always something, always someone who wants to tear you down, always someone who's gunning for your spot, always someone reminding you that you're not enough. And the pressure never goes away. You think the world loves you when you're on top, but it doesn't. It uses you. It loves you until you're no longer useful, until they get what they want from you. Then they move on to the next one. They forget. And that's the cruelest part. But that's the price of greatness. That's the price you have to pay to stay at the top. And you can either crumble under the pressure or you can embrace it. You can either let the noise drown you or you can learn to shut it out. You can either run from the loneliness or you can face it and find peace in the quiet. Because the truth is, nobody can walk with you when you're chasing greatness. It's a path that only you can walk. And that's what makes it so hard. But that's also what makes it worth it. You think you know what it feels like to be on top. But let me tell you something, being on top isn't everything. Not when you realize it's all you've ever known. The moment you step away, it's like a part of you vanishes. It feels like you're walking in a world that no longer needs you. And that's the hardest part. I retired the first time thinking it was the right move. I thought I'd walk away from the game, put it all behind me and find peace. I thought I'd finally have that quiet life. But let me tell you something, peace, it's a lie. You're never prepared for the emptiness that hits when you no longer have the thing that defined you. When you're no longer the champion, when the cheers stop, the cameras go away, and it's just you alone with nothing but your thoughts. It's hard to explain. It's like you lose yourself. Like the thing that kept you going for all those years, the fire, the hunger flickers out, and you're left with this darkness. It's a feeling that creeps in when the lights go off, when the last whistle blows and all that's left is silence. It was the hardest thing I've ever faced. Because for so long, basketball was me. I was the guy on the court, the one everyone looked to. And when I left, there was nothing. There was no court, no teammates, no pressure, just an endless void. I tried other things. I tried to find peace in different ways, but I couldn't because nothing felt as alive as the game. Nothing felt as real as being in that moment with the ball in my hands, the clock ticking down, the crowd roaring. That's where I was meant to be. But you can't go back. You can't just step into the past and expect everything to be the same. Things change, people change. And when I came back, it wasn't the same. The feeling was different. The game had changed, I had changed. But here's what you learn when you face that kind of loss. You can't outrun it. You can't outrun what you were, what you built. It's inside you, it's in your blood. You can take the man out of the game, but you can't take the game out of the man. I came back because I had to, because I was not done. I wasn't finished. I didn't retire because I had nothing left to give. I retired because I didn't know if I could give more. But I realized something after being away. The only way to truly find peace is to keep moving forward, because peace doesn't come from running away. It comes from facing your demons, your pain, your fear, and pushing through it. I came back to the court, not because I thought I could win another title, not because I thought I had anything to prove, but because I had unfinished business. Because I needed to prove something to myself, because I needed to remember who I was. The hardest part of coming back was accepting that I wasn't the same. I wasn't the young player who could run for hours without feeling pain. I wasn't the unstoppable force I used to be, but that's what makes a champion: adaptability. You don't stay on top by being the same person. You grow, you evolve, and you fight even when your body is telling you it's time to stop. And that's when I realized the true meaning of greatness. Greatness isn't about winning every time. It's not about being perfect. It's about finding a way to keep going. It's about looking at the things you've lost, the things you thought you couldn't live without, and realizing that you're still here, that you're still fighting, that the game doesn't end when you leave the court. The game is always inside you. You see the fall, it's a test of your will, your heart, and your soul, because it's easy to be great when everything's going your way. It's easy to fight when the world's cheering for you. But when you fall, when everything falls apart, that's when you find out who you really are. I came back because I wasn't finished with me. I wasn't done with my journey. I wasn't done proving that greatness is not a destination. It's not about the rings, the MVPs, the adulation. It's about the fight, the struggle, the fire inside you that refuses to be extinguished. Greatness is a constant battle. It's about finding the strength to rise after every fall. It's about picking yourself up when everyone else thinks you're done. And it's about going further than you ever thought possible, even when the world says you're past your prime. So don't ever let anyone tell you when your story is over. Don't ever let anyone tell you that you've had your moment, because the truth is, you write your own story. And if you're still breathing, if you're still here, that story isn't finished yet. You think you know what it means to be great. But let me tell you something, greatness isn't about what you achieve, it's about what you leave behind. It's easy to measure greatness with trophies, with titles, with records. We all love to count wins, to check the numbers, but greatness isn't just about being remembered. It's about how you impact the people around you. It's about the legacy you build, not just for yourself, but for those who will follow. I've had my share of wins. I've had the accolades, the recognition, the moments where the world stood still and cheered. But you know what? It's not the victories that stay with you. It's the moments between the victories. The quiet ones, the struggles, the pain, the work. Because those moments, those are the ones that shape you. Those are the moments that define who you are. You want to know what greatness really is? It's about having a vision. It's about staying true to that vision, no matter how hard it gets. It's about pushing yourself beyond what you thought was possible, even when everything around you is telling you to quit. Because when you do that, when you keep going, when everyone else stops, that's when you realize the true value of your journey. Greatness doesn't just happen, it's built, it's earned, and it's a constant process. It's a battle you fight every day, and there's no final victory. There's only the journey. There's only the fight to be better than you were yesterday. I've learned that along the way, I've learned that what matters most is not how many times you fall, but how many times you get up. It's not about how many points you score, but how many people you inspire. It's not about the rings on your fingers, but the impact you have on the world around you. And let me tell you something. There's nothing more powerful than realizing that greatness is not about you. It's about what you give. It's about how you lift others up. It's about the lessons you leave behind, the people you inspire to be better, to do better, to rise higher. When you understand that, you understand what greatness truly means. You know, the one thing I can say about my career is that I've never taken anything for granted. I've never assumed that I'd always be on top. I knew that I had to earn every moment. I had to fight for every inch. And when you understand that, when you understand that you're only as good as your next performance, you begin to realize that greatness is a constant. It doesn't rest, it doesn't take a break, it's a relentless pursuit. But here's the thing, they also don't tell you about greatness. It's heavy. It's a weight that gets heavier the higher you climb. And at some point you start to wonder if it's worth it. You wonder if the sacrifices, the loneliness, the pressure, it all starts to make you question if it's worth the cost. But then I remember something. I remember the moments that were worth it. I remember the teammates who fought alongside me. I remember the fans who believed in me. And I remember that I didn't do this for the trophies or the fame. I did it because I believed in something. I believed in myself, and I believed in the power of hard work, discipline, and dedication. Greatness is about showing up even when it's hard. It's about pushing through the pain, through the doubts, through the obstacles, and it's about inspiring others to do the same. When you can look in the mirror and know that you've given everything, that you've left it all on the court, that's when you realize what it really means to be great. But even more than that, it's about never quitting. It's about realizing that no matter what happens, the fight never ends. You don't ever stop striving for greatness, because as soon as you stop fighting, as soon as you stop giving everything you have, that's when you lose. And I can't afford to lose. And here's the truth. Greatness isn't about being the best. It's about being the best version of yourself. It's about constantly improving, constantly evolving, and never settling. Because when you stop growing, when you stop challenging yourself, you stop being great. I didn't get here by chance. I didn't get here by being lucky. I got here by being relentless, by refusing to let anything stop me, by choosing to fight when everyone else would have given up. And that's what makes greatness. It's not the awards, it's not the records, it's the mindset, it's the willingness to keep pushing, keep fighting, and keep striving for something bigger than yourself. That's the true measure of greatness. So here's what I leave you with. Greatness is not something you can buy. It's not something that's handed to you. It's something you earn every single day. And if you're willing to pay the price, if you're willing to give everything you have and never stop, then you'll find it. You'll find your greatness. But you have to want it. You have to live it. And you have to be ready to fight for it every single day, because in the end, that's all that matters. Never give up. If you give up, you've lost. You know, I wasn't always like this. I wasn't born with this passion, this confidence, this strength. No, I was just an ordinary kid. There were times when no one believed in me, when I was knocked down, when people told me I wasn't good enough. I had to fight every step of the way. But you know what? The most important thing is this. I never gave up. When I was a kid, I dreamed of being great. I dreamed of being in the place I'm in now. But a dream is just words. It's actions that matter. And those actions, they weren't always pretty. They were filled with fear. Fear that I'd never be what I wanted to be. Fear that I'd never win. I remember the first time I didn't make the school basketball team. It hurt. I sat there alone in that dark room, breathing in the scent of old sneakers, hearing the echo in my head. All I wanted was to play, but they told me I was too short, that I couldn't do it. But here's what I learned. I didn't let that failure define me. I believed that I could do more. So I started practicing. I didn't wait for someone to tell me I was good. I started proving to myself that I could be the best. I stood in that dim gym, on that cold wooden floor where no one else could see me. And I worked hours, days, weeks. I put in the work when no one was watching, when there was no applause, no spotlight, just me fighting against my doubts. And here's the thing about failure. Failure isn't the end, it's the beginning. It's the test. It's where you find out what you're really made of. It's where you see if you have the heart to keep going when the world tells you to stop. That's what it takes. The willingness to keep going, the courage to face the fear of failing again, the discipline to rise even when you feel like you've hit the ground. Because when you decide to keep going, no matter what, you win. You know, the thing about success is that it doesn't come easy. If it did, everyone would be a champion. But that's not how it works. It's never that simple. The road to greatness is full of obstacles, full of pain, full of doubts. And let me tell you something, it will test you in ways you never thought possible. I remember those nights, those endless nights. When I was younger, the gym was empty, just the sound of my shoes squeaking on the floor, the hum of the lights overhead, the sweat dripping down my face as I kept pushing, even when I was exhausted, every muscle in my body screaming for rest, but I couldn't stop. I couldn't give up, not yet. Every day, I trained like I was fighting for my life. And I was, because in my mind, I knew that if I didn't, someone else would. Someone else would take my place. Someone else would be the one to rise. And I couldn't let that happen. I used to hate losing. The feeling of walking off the court after a game, knowing I could have done better, the sting of defeat would linger, especially when you feel like you gave everything and it still wasn't enough. But that was my fuel, that was my drive. Every time I lost, I would push harder the next day. There were times, no doubt, when I felt the weight of it all, the pressure to be perfect, the eyes on me, the constant scrutiny, the expectation to win every time. It gets heavy. And there were moments when I questioned if I had it in me. Am I really good enough? Can I really do this? Can I keep going when everyone else has already given up? But here's what I figured out. Those doubts, that pressure, the weight of it all, that's the real test. It's not about avoiding failure. It's about how you deal with it. It's about how you rise when you're knocked down, because you will be knocked down. That's guaranteed. But what matters is what you do next. It wasn't just the physical training. It wasn't just the drills or the practices. It was the mental game, the constant battle in my head, the moments of doubt, the fear of failure, the loneliness that comes with being at the top, knowing that no one truly understands the sacrifices you make, the long hours in the gym while everyone else was out having fun, the relationships that suffer because you're obsessed with winning. And yet, every time I faced those moments of darkness, every time I wanted to walk away, I realized something: the pain, the struggle, the sacrifices, they weren't in vain. They were my strength. They were making me stronger, tougher, more resilient. Every time I got back up, I became a little bit more than I was before. Every failure, every mistake, every setback, it was all part of the process. And let me tell you, the struggle, it never stops, even when you've made it. Even when you're standing at the top, because once you've tasted greatness, you realize how quickly it can slip away. And you know that the moment you stop pushing is the moment you start losing. The pressure doesn't go away, it grows. And it's not just about proving yourself to others anymore. It's about proving to yourself that you can keep going, that you can keep fighting, that you can keep pushing, because in the end, that's all you have: your will, your desire, your heart. So you face the pain, you face the fear, and you keep moving forward, even when it seems impossible, because that's what separates the winners from the losers. The ones who never quit, the ones who rise again and again, no matter what. The ones who understand that greatness is earned through struggle, through sacrifice, through relentless persistence. And that, my friends, is the true essence of a champion. There comes a point in every journey where you hit the wall. You know what I'm talking about? It's that moment when you feel like you've given everything you've got and it still isn't enough. The fatigue, the pain, the frustration, it all comes crashing down on you. And for a split second, you wonder if you've reached your limit. But here's the thing, your limit is never where you think it is. I've been there. I've been in those dark moments where I couldn't see the light at the end of the tunnel. I've been on the court exhausted after hours of practice, when my legs felt like they were made of lead and my body was begging for rest. I felt like I was running on fumes, pushing myself harder and harder, yet somehow it felt like I was getting nowhere. The voices in my head, the doubts, the fears, the what ifs, they were louder than ever. And I questioned everything. Was it worth it? Was this the end of the road? But let me tell you something, the wall you hit, the obstacles that feel insurmountable, they're not meant to stop you. They're meant to show you just how badly you want it. They're there to test your resolve, to challenge your belief, to force you to look deep inside and ask yourself, how much do you want this? There's a moment when you're on the edge of breaking, when you feel like you can't take another step, when something inside of you, something raw, something primal snaps, and you make a choice. Do you quit? Do you give in to the pain, or do you find a way to keep going? And that, my friends, is the moment that defines you. It's not the easy days. It's not the victories that come with no sweat. It's those moments when everything is against you, when the world seems to be falling apart, when all signs point to failure. That's when you have to decide, am I a fighter or am I just a spectator? I remember one of the hardest games I ever played. It was the finals. We were down, the clock was ticking, and it looked like the championship was slipping through our fingers. I was drained mentally, physically, emotionally. I felt like I couldn't give any more. And then I heard the crowd, I heard their screams, their cheers, their belief in me. And I knew in that moment that I couldn't let them down. I couldn't let myself down. I took a breath and then I took another. And with each breath, I found a little more strength, a little more fire, and I made the shot, the one that sealed the win, the one that made all those hours of training, all those sleepless nights, all those sacrifices worth it. It wasn't the first shot I made or the second. It was the one after all the misses, after all the failures, after all the pain. It was the shot that came when I thought I had nothing left. That's the truth about greatness. It's not about being the best all the time. It's about how you show up when it counts. It's about your ability to rise when the pressure's on, to stand tall when everyone else is falling, and to keep pushing forward even when it feels like everything is falling apart. I'm not here to tell you that it gets easier. I'm not going to lie to you and say that the struggle disappears once you've reached a certain point. It doesn't. The struggle is always there. The difference is you get stronger, you get smarter, you learn how to navigate the obstacles, you learn how to find your way through the pain. And when you do, when you find the strength to keep going when everyone else has stopped, that's when you realize something powerful. The wall you hit, it wasn't a barrier, it was just the next step on your journey. And on the other side of that wall is the next level of greatness. But here's the catch. You have to be willing to face that moment. You have to be willing to confront the pain, the doubt, the fear, and say, I'm not done, not yet. Because as long as you keep that fire burning inside of you, as long as you keep pushing forward, you're never truly done. And that's the essence of what it means to be a champion. It's not about winning every time. It's about never quitting. No matter how hard it gets, no matter how many times you fall, you rise. Every single time. This is just the beginning. The true test of a champion comes when you face the darkest times and rise. That's when you prove to yourself what you're really made of. We all want to be great. We all want to be remembered. We all want that moment when everything comes together, when the crowd erupts, when the spotlight shines on us, and we know that we've done something incredible. But what people often forget is the price of greatness. They see the glory, the fame, the trophies, but they don't see the cost. They don't see the lonely hours in the gym, the sacrifices, the relationships that get put on hold, the personal battles you have to fight within yourself. Greatness doesn't come without its price. When you're chasing greatness, there are moments when you feel completely isolated. You start to question who you're doing it for. Are you doing it for the people who are cheering you on, or are you doing it for yourself? Because the reality is, there will be times when no one is cheering. There will be times when it feels like you're alone, walking that path all by yourself. And that's when you have to dig deep. There were times during my career when I felt like I was carrying the weight of the world on my shoulders. I remember countless nights lying in bed thinking about all the things I had to sacrifice, friends, family, normal life, the moments I missed, the things I didn't get to experience because I was too focused on being the best. It's a tough pill to swallow, but it's a reality that every champion has to face. I can't tell you how many times I found myself in the gym at 2 a.m. working on a shot that wasn't quite right, or how many meals I missed because I was still grinding, or how many moments I had to choose basketball over everything else. But I'll tell you this, when you want something so badly, when you're willing to put in the work and face the struggle, those sacrifices don't seem so heavy. They become part of the journey. There's a price to be paid for success, And it's not just about the physical grind, it's the mental and emotional toll it takes. The moments when you question if it's worth it, the loneliness you feel when you're on the road, far from home, the exhaustion that seems never ending, the times when you're so close to breaking, but you push through anyway because you know that every ounce of effort you give is bringing you closer to something greater than yourself. The thing is, though, greatness doesn't just come from the big moments. It's the little things, the moments when no one is watching, when it's just you and your determination. It's the countless hours of sweat, the repetition of every drill, the focus on every detail. It's the ability to push past the pain when everything in you is screaming for you to stop. I've faced moments when I felt like giving up. I've faced defeats that left scars, but those scars became part of my story. They reminded me of what it took to get here. They were the constant reminder of the price I paid to be the best. And that's the part of greatness that no one talks about. The grind, the loneliness, the self-doubt, the sacrifices, the pain that never quite goes away. But what people don't realize is that in the end, those things are what make the victories taste so sweet. When you fought for something with everything you've got, when you've given up everything you thought you needed, when you've walked through hell and come out the other side, that's when you understand what it means to be truly great. So yes, greatness comes at a cost. But when you reach the top, when you've earned every step of the way, when you've battled through the struggle, that moment of triumph becomes more than just a win. It becomes a testament to everything you've overcome, to everything you've sacrificed, to everything you've put on the line to become the person you've always dreamed of being. It's not just about the glory, it's about what you're willing to sacrifice to get there. That's what defines a champion. Not just the wins, but the price they're willing to pay to win. It's not about the easy victories, it's about the battles you fight when no one else is around to see them. And that's where the real strength lies. It's in the cost, the price of greatness. There's something about falling that makes you feel like you've lost everything. The world stops. You hear the echo of the crowd's disappointment. You see the scoreboard that reads failure. And for a moment, you believe it. You believe that the fall has defined you. But here's the truth, the fall isn't what defines you, it's how you rise. I've fallen more times than I could count. I've lost games I should have won. I've made mistakes in front of thousands of people. I've felt the crushing weight of failure. But every single time I got back up. It wasn't easy. There were nights when the pain was unbearable, both physically and emotionally. The sting of defeat was deep. I can still remember the feeling of walking off the court after a tough loss, the silence after the noise, the weight of knowing that I had to face it again the next day, the pressure to get better, to keep moving forward when it felt like I was stuck in place. But here's the secret. Falling is part of the process. It's the lesson. It's the moment when you find out who you really are. You don't discover your strength when everything is going right. You find it when you're broken. You find it when you have nothing left to give, and yet you still find the strength to stand up and keep going. I remember after some of my toughest losses, I'd sit alone in the locker room, drenched in sweat, feeling the weight of failure pressing down on me. But even in those moments, I could hear that voice in my head, the voice that refused to let me stay down, the voice that told me, this isn't the end, this is just the beginning. And every time I heard that voice, I knew it was true. I knew that I could be better. I knew that I could rise from the ashes of my failures and come back stronger. Because that's what champions do. They don't let failure define them. They use it to fuel their fire. The next day I would get up and go back to the gym. I would work on what went wrong. I would analyze every mistake, every misstep, and make sure it didn't happen again. I would push myself harder, knowing that I had something to prove. And when the next challenge came, when the next opportunity presented itself, I was ready. It wasn't just about improving my skills, it was about improving my mindset. It was about learning to love the struggle, because I knew that it was shaping me into something greater. The struggle wasn't my enemy, it was my greatest teacher. Because the truth is, no matter how many times you fall, it's the rise that matters. It's the way you get back up and fight again that defines you. It's how you handle the pain, the disappointment, and the fear of failure that separates the winners from the rest. The greatest athletes in the world didn't get to the top by never failing. They got there by learning how to rise every time they fell. So when you find yourself on the ground, when the world feels heavy, when the weight of failure is too much to bear, remember this, the greatest moment of your life is waiting for you on the other side of that fall. You can stay down or you can rise, but one thing is certain, if you rise, you'll be stronger, you'll be more prepared, you'll be ready for whatever comes next. And when that next challenge hits, you'll be the one standing tall, ready to conquer. The rise is what makes you a champion. The rise is where you find your true power. And in that rise, there's something else. There's peace. Peace in knowing that you fought. Peace in knowing that you didn't give up. Peace in knowing that you didn't give up. Peace in knowing that the battles, the falls were all part of your journey. Because the rise after falling isn't just about winning. It's about who you become in the process. It's about the strength, the resilience, and the belief in yourself that you gain along the way. And that's what makes a champion: the rise, the fight, the refusal to ever quit. No matter how many times you fall, when I look back on my career, it's not the trophies that stand out the most. It's not the MVPs, the championship rings, or the records. It's the moments that truly tested me, the moments when I was alone in my head, when no one was there to cheer me on, when the only thing left was my belief in myself. The heart of a champion isn't just in the victories, it's in the fight. It's in the refusal to stop, to give in, to settle. It's in the moments of doubt when you don't know if you can go on, but you do anyway. Because at the end of the day, a champion is someone who refuses to quit, even when it's easier to walk away. But here's the thing that people don't always understand. Being a champion is not just about physical strength or skill. It's about heart. It's about mental toughness. It's about pushing through when every part of you is screaming to stop. Because when you're at your lowest, when you feel like you've got nothing left, that's when you dig deeper. That's when you find out what you're really made of. I remember some of the hardest moments of my career. There were times when I was physically exhausted, mentally drained, and emotionally spent. But I knew one thing: if I gave up then, I would never be able to look myself in the mirror again. I would never be able to live with the regret of not giving everything I had. And that's the truth about greatness. It's not about being the best at everything. It's about giving your best in everything. The champion knows that there's always more to give. They know that the moment they stop giving their all is the moment they lose. It's about digging in when it seems like there's nothing left. It's about finding that last bit of strength in your body and in your mind, even when it feels impossible. There were times when I didn't feel like I had anything left to give, but those were the moments that separated me from the rest. Those were the moments that forged the heart of a champion. Because it wasn't about the physical game anymore, it was about the mental game. It was about the discipline to keep going even when it felt like my body and mind were done. I've seen so many athletes who had all the talent in the world but didn't have the heart. They had the skills, but they didn't have the fire inside them to push through the tough times. And in the end, that's what separates the greats from the rest of the pack. It's not the natural talent, it's the heart, the hunger, the drive. The heart of a champion doesn't come from victories. It comes from the struggle. It comes from the moments when no one is watching, when no one is cheering, and all you have is your own belief in yourself. It's the commitment to keep pushing, even when it hurts. It's the understanding that the price of greatness is steep, but the reward is worth it. People see the glory, they see the final shot, the game-winning play, the applause, but they don't see the work that goes into it. They don't see the late nights, the early mornings, the sacrifices, the pain. They don't see the fight that happens behind the scenes in the darkness when no one else is there. But that's where champions are made, not in the spotlight, but in the grind, in the hustle, in the quiet moments where you're alone with your thoughts, questioning everything, but still pushing forward. Because you know that the reward isn't the applause, it's the satisfaction of knowing that you gave everything you had. And that's the heart of a champion. It's in the relentless pursuit of greatness, even when the odds are against you. It's in the discipline, the drive, and the determination to keep going when everyone else has stopped. A champion isn't made in the easy moments. They're made when it's hardest, when it's most painful, when you're facing your doubts, your fears, and your weaknesses, and you choose to keep going. And in those moments, you find out just how strong you really are. Because the heart of a champion is built on the understanding that greatness isn't a destination. It's a journey, and that journey doesn't end with a win. It ends when you've given everything, when you fought through the pain, when you've stayed true to yourself no matter what. And that, my friends, is what it means to be a champion. It's not about how many times you win. It's about how many times you rise. It's about the fight. It's about the heart. It's about giving everything you have, even when the world tells you to stop. And when you give everything, you'll know deep down that you've already won. There comes a time when you start thinking about more than just winning games. When you start thinking about what you'll leave behind, when the final buzzer sounds, when the crowd quiets down, when the lights fade, what will people remember you for? It's a question we all ask ourselves at some point. What's the point of all this? What's the point of the pain, the sacrifice, the struggle? What's the point if it doesn't mean anything in the end? And that's when you realize something important. It's not just about the wins. It's not just about the records. It's about the impact you leave. It's about how you inspired others, how you showed them what was possible, how you made them believe that they too could be great. When I think about my legacy, I don't think about the awards or the championships. Sure, those things are important. But what truly matters to me is the way I've been able to inspire others to chase their own greatness. The way I've shown them that no matter where you come from, no matter how many times you fall, you can rise again. You can keep going. You can achieve things that seem impossible. That's the real reward. The real measure of a champion isn't in what they've won. It's in how they've changed the game. It's in how they've lifted others up and made them believe in themselves. Because the true legacy of a champion is the impact they have on the world around them. I remember the kids who would come up to me after games. They'd look up at me with awe in their eyes, like I was some kind of superhero. And in those moments, I understood something. I wasn't just playing for me. I wasn't just chasing trophies. I was playing for them. I was showing them what was possible. And I realized that my legacy wasn't just going to be about the things I accomplished. It was going to be about the people I inspired along the way. You see, greatness isn't just for yourself. It's for everyone who looks to you and sees something in you that they can carry with them. It's about passing on the lessons you've learned, the values that have shaped you, and the belief that anything is possible if you're willing to put in the work. And when you realize that, when you understand that your actions, your drive, your relentless pursuit of greatness has the power to inspire others, it changes everything. Because it's not just about what you do for yourself, it's about what you do for the world. And that's the essence of being a champion. It's not about the moment you stand on top of the podium. It's about how you use that moment to lift others up. It's about using your success to create something bigger than yourself, to create a legacy that will last long after you've walked off the court. Because in the end, what we leave behind is what matters most. The impact we make, the way we change the lives of others. And when you realize that your greatness can inspire the next generation to rise up and chase their dreams, you understand that the real victory isn't in the trophies. It's in the legacy you create. I've had a lot of people tell me that they look up to me, that I've been an inspiration to them. And in those moments, I feel a deep sense of pride, but I also feel a responsibility to live up to the legacy I want to leave behind. Because it's not just about the past, it's about the future. It's about creating a ripple effect that will keep going long after I'm gone. That's the power of greatness. That's the power of being a champion. It's not just about what you achieve, it's about what you inspire. It's about the lives you touch, the people you motivate, and the belief you instill in others. I want my legacy to be one that shows people that no matter who you are, no matter where you come from, you have the power to be great. It's about showing them that they can rise up even when they're at their lowest. It's about giving them the belief that they can chase their dreams even when the world tells them it's impossible. That's the kind of legacy I want to leave behind. A legacy that goes beyond the basketball court. A legacy that touches lives, inspires dreams, and makes the world a better place. And when all is said and done, when the dust settles and the spotlight fades, I hope people will remember me for one thing, that I never gave up, that I fought, that I inspired, and that I believed with everything I had that greatness is within all of us. Because that's what it means to truly be a champion. And if I can leave you with one final thought, it's this: never stop pushing, never stop believing. Because as long as you keep going, as long as you keep fighting, you're on the path to greatness. And that's something no one can ever take from you. That's the heart of a champion, and that's the legacy that will live forever. So here we are. You've heard the story, you've heard the struggle, the pain, the sacrifice. You've heard about the victories, the defeats, and everything in between. But there's one more truth you need to understand. One final lesson that every champion learns, and it's the one that holds everything together. You see, greatness doesn't happen overnight. It's not handed to you on a silver platter. It's not something you can just wish for or dream about. Greatness is earned. It's earned in every drop of sweat, in every failure, in every moment you choose to keep going when everything inside you is telling you to quit. Greatness is the result of relentless effort, unwavering belief, and a heart that refuses to give up. But here's the real kicker. Even when you've earned it, even when you worked your whole life for it, you can't control how the world will respond. You can't control who will be there cheering for you or who will be watching in the shadows. You can't control when the applause will come or if it will come at all. All you can control is your own journey. All you can control is your own fight. I played in front of thousands of fans. I felt the rush of victory, the roar of the crowd, but I've also stood in silence on that court in the moments after the game, wondering if all the sacrifices were worth it. And in those quiet moments when the lights are off and the gym is empty, I realized something. It's not the crowd that defines you. It's not the scoreboard. It's not the trophies. It's your heart. It's your commitment to the process. It's the way you show up day after day, even when no one is watching. It's about knowing that you've given everything you have, not for anyone else, but for you. That's the final truth. Greatness is personal. It's a commitment to yourself and your vision. It's knowing that the work you put in, the hours you sacrifice, the pain you endure, all of it is part of something bigger, something that only you can define. Because at the end of the day, the most important victory isn't the one that happens on the scoreboard. It's the one that happens in your heart. The victory that says, I gave everything I had. I fought, I fell, I rose, and I never gave up. That's the real essence of a champion. And when you understand that greatness isn't just a destination, it's a journey, that's when you unlock your true potential. Because the journey never ends. There's always more to achieve, more to learn, and more to overcome. The greatest athletes, the greatest champions, don't rest on their past victories. They don't sit back and bask in the glory of yesterday's wins. They keep moving forward, they keep pushing, they keep fighting, because they know that the work is never done, and the minute you stop fighting is the minute you start losing. So my message to you is simple. Don't wait for someone else to tell you that you're great. Don't wait for the world to recognize you. Don't wait for the applause. You have to know it within yourself. You have to believe it with every ounce of your being. You have to commit to your own greatness. No matter how long it takes, no matter how many obstacles you face, the world may not always see it, they may not always understand it. But if you keep moving forward, if you keep giving everything you have, and if you never give up, then you've already won. You've already achieved greatness. And that, my friends, is what it means to be a champion. It's not the accolades, the trophies, or the applause. It's the fire inside of you that keeps burning no matter what. It's the heart that refuses to stop. It's the will to fight, to rise, and to keep going no matter how many times you fall. When you embrace that truth, when you embrace the journey, that's when you become a champion, not just in the eyes of the world, but in your own heart. And that's a victory no one can ever take away from you. So keep going, keep fighting, keep believing, because greatness isn't a destination, it's a way of life. And it's yours for the taking. And when you finally reach the top and the journey seems complete, remember this: the battle doesn't end with the finish line. The battle continues as long as your heart still beats. So keep moving, keep pushing, because a true champion never stops believing, never stops fighting. And that's how you become more than just a winner. You become a legacy, a story that inspires others to rise, to fight, and to never give up. You see, there's something that nobody tells you about the road to greatness. They tell you about the victories, the moments of glory, the applause, but they don't tell you about the unseen struggle. They don't tell you about the moments when you're fighting a battle that no one else can see, the moments when your body is broken, your mind is tired, and your heart is hanging on by a thread. The true champions are the ones who fight through those moments, the ones who fight when no one is watching, when it's just you alone with your thoughts, battling your own doubts and fears, because that's where the real test lies, in the struggle that nobody sees. When you're facing the grind, when you're battling against your own limitations, there's no one around to tell you that it's okay. There's no one to reassure you that you're doing enough. It's just you, the mirror, and the unwavering determination to keep going. And sometimes that's the hardest part, knowing that no one else knows how much you're putting in, how much you're sacrificing, and yet you keep going. You do it because you know that it's worth it. You do it because deep down, you know that if you stop now, you'll never know what you're truly capable of. I remember some of the most painful moments of my career. the times when I felt like I was giving everything and still wasn't getting closer to where I wanted to be, the injuries that knocked me down, the setbacks that made me question my path. I remember feeling like I was going backwards, like the weight of it all was just too much to bear. But those were the moments that defined me, because when the world was telling me to stop, when the pain was telling me to quit, I chose to keep going. And here's what I learned. The battle you fight with yourself is the hardest one. It's the one that shapes you, because in those moments when there's no one else to rely on, when the only voice you hear is your own, that's when you find out who you really are. It's easy to fight when people are cheering for you. It's easy to keep going when everything is going your way. But the real fight, it happens in silence. It happens when it's just you and your inner demons, and you choose to rise above them. I learned to love those moments, the ones where no one is watching, where no one is cheering, and the only thing that matters is the strength inside me. It's in those moments that you truly realize how much you want it. It's in those moments that you make the choice to keep going or to give up. And every time you choose to keep going, every time you rise after you fall, you build a little more of the person you're becoming. Those moments, the unseen struggle, are what make you who you are. They are what shape your character. They are what build your mental toughness. Because greatness isn't just about skill or talent. It's about the heart, the mind, and the soul that refuse to give up even when it seems impossible. So when you're out there fighting for something bigger than yourself, and it feels like no one sees how much you're giving, remember this: you are the one who matters. Your effort, your perseverance, your resilience, it all counts, even if no one else notices. Because the most important person you need to impress is the person staring back at you in the mirror. It's the unseen struggle that will make the victory that much sweeter. Because when you finally stand in that moment of triumph, when the crowd roars, when you lift the trophy, when you hear your name called, you'll know deep down that it wasn't just about that moment. It was about every moment that led up to it. Every drop of sweat, every bruise, every setback, every time you got knocked down and decided to rise. And that's what makes you a champion, not just the glory, not just the applause, but the strength to keep going when it's just you against the world, the willingness to fight even when no one is watching, and the knowledge that the real victory isn't in the accolades, it's in the person you become in the process. So the next time you find yourself in the struggle, when it feels like no one is there, when the weight of the world feels too heavy to carry, remember this: you are not alone. You have everything inside you to keep going. You have the strength to rise, and the best part, you're becoming something extraordinary along the way. Keep going, keep fighting, and remember, greatness isn't for the faint of heart. It's for the ones who choose to fight, even when the fight seems impossible. Because in the end, you'll look back and realize that it wasn't the applause or the trophies that made you a champion. It was the struggle, the fight, and the heart that refused to quit. As I stand here today, I think about everything that's led me to this point, the countless hours, the sacrifices, the battles fought on and off the court. I think about the struggles, the pain, and the moments when it seemed like everything was falling apart. But I also think about something else, the unwavering belief that no matter what, I could rise above it all. There are moments in life when you wonder if it's all worth it, when the weight of everything, the pressure, the expectations feel like they're too much to bear, when you question why you're even doing this, when the doubts creep in and tell you that it might be easier to walk away. Those moments when everything seems too heavy are the ones that really define us. They test our resolve, our heart, our will to fight. I've been there. I've stood on the edge of giving up. I've been knocked down so many times I thought it was the end, but it wasn't. It never is, because there's always one more fight left in you. There's always one more chance to rise. And it's in that moment, that final moment, that you realize how much you're really capable of. And when you realize that, when you truly understand that there's nothing that can stop you if you refuse to quit, that's when you discover the greatest truth. Greatness is not for the chosen few. It's for anyone who's willing to keep fighting, to keep pushing, and to keep believing no matter what. Greatness is a choice you make every single day. It's the choice to push through the pain, to rise after every fall, and to keep moving forward when the world tries to hold you back. It's about refusing to let the setbacks define you, about seeing every failure as a stepping stone, a lesson that will only make you stronger. It's about knowing that the journey is never easy, but it's always worth it. Every time you get knocked down, you have a choice. You can stay down or you can get up. and getting up, that's the true mark of a champion. It's not about avoiding the falls. It's about how many times you get back up, how many times you rise, stronger, faster, more determined than before. It's the belief that there's always something more to give, always a new level to reach, always a new challenge to face. And that's the beauty of this journey. There's no finish line. There's no ultimate destination. The journey itself is the reward. Every step forward, every inch you fight for is a victory in itself. The true champions are the ones who understand that greatness isn't about one moment of glory. It's about the dedication, the discipline, and the fight that you put in every single day, no matter how hard it gets. I'm not going to lie to you and tell you that the road is easy. It's not. It's tough. It's brutal. It will test you in ways you never thought possible, but that's what makes it all worth it. That's what makes every victory, every achievement so much sweeter, because you earned it, you fought for it. And when you stand at the top, you know that every ounce of effort, every drop of sweat, and every sacrifice was worth it. So what does it mean to be a champion? It means having the courage to keep going, even when everything tells you to stop. It means having the heart to rise after every fall, to fight through every obstacle, and to never give up on your dreams. It means refusing to let fear, doubt, or failure hold you back. It means living with purpose, living with passion, and living with the belief that anything is possible if you're willing to put in the work. But more than anything, it means understanding that greatness isn't about the destination. It's about the journey. It's about the person you become along the way. The strength, the resilience, the belief, that's what makes you a champion. And that's what will carry you through life, no matter what challenges you face. And as you walk this path, remember this: no matter how hard it gets, no matter how many obstacles you face, no matter how many times you fall, you are capable of more than you know. You have the heart of a champion. And as long as you keep fighting, as long as you keep believing, you will rise, you will overcome, you will achieve greatness. So never stop, never quit, keep fighting, because the champion inside of you is waiting to rise. And when it does, there will be nothing that can stand in your way. This is your journey, this is your fight. And in the end, you'll know it was all worth it. And that's how champions are made, through the struggle, through the fight, and through the belief that no matter what, you never stop, you never quit, you never give up. And that's how you become more than just a winner. You become a legend, you become a champion. So here we are at the end of this journey, or is it the end? Because if I've learned anything, it's that the end is just another beginning. We may close one chapter, but the story never truly ends. The journey continues for me, for you, for anyone who chooses to rise. This is where the story shifts, and we move from triumph to something even deeper. We've talked about the struggles, the sacrifices, the fight, the rise, and the heart of a champion. But there's one more thing to realize. What we leave behind is our true legacy. I'm not talking about the trophies or the records. Those things are nice, they'll live in the history books, but they aren't what will last. What will last is the way we inspire others, the way we lead by example, the way we show people that no matter where they start, no matter what obstacles they face, they can become champions too. When I look back, it's not the wins I remember the most, it's the moments of struggle. It's the times when I felt like giving up, but I didn't. It's the sweat, the blood, the hours that no one else saw. It's the time spent alone, working, believing, and fighting for something bigger than myself. In those moments, they shaped who I am. They are the core of my legacy. Greatness is never just about you. It's about what you do with the power that you have. It's about passing the torch. It's about lighting the path for those who come after you, the ones who will look up to you, not for what you've won, but for who you've become. You see, greatness isn't selfish. It isn't about hoarding success for yourself. It's about using your victories, your experiences to lift others up. It's about showing them that they too can achieve greatness, that the power to rise is in all of us, as long as we're willing to fight for it. So when you look at your life, your journey, don't just ask, what did I accomplish? Ask yourself, who did I inspire? Who did I push forward? Who did I lift up with me? Because that is where your true legacy lies, in the lives you touch, the people you inspire, the moments where you change the course of someone else's life by simply showing them what's possible. And that, my friends, is the mark of a true champion. It's not just about your own victories. It's about the victories you help others achieve. It's about lifting others to their highest potential, and in doing so, lifting yourself. So never forget the power you have. Never forget the impact you can make. And never forget that the true measure of your greatness is not in the medals, the accolades, or the applause. It's in the legacy you leave behind, the people you inspire, the lives you touch, the ripple effect of your fight, your struggle, and your determination to never stop no matter what. As you walk through life, as you chase your own greatness, remember that it's not just so keep fighting, keep pushing, keep believing, because greatness isn't a one-time event, it's a lifelong journey. And when you reach the end, you'll know that the story you live, the legacy you created, is the greatest victory of all. And that's how champions are made, through the struggle, through the rise, and through the impact they leave behind. Never stop, never quit, never give up, because your legacy is waiting to be written. And that, my friends, is the final truth. Greatness is not just something you achieve, it's something you pass on. This is your story, this is your fight, and this is your legacy. So go make it unforgettable.